What's up, y'all? It's Friday. We got parts. I got beer. We are about to do the electric fan swap, finally. So this is a 2011 2500 HD fan, and this is a wiring harness from Nelson Performance. So we got to do some quick cleanup, move the new air compressor. We got an 80-gallon Ingersoll Rand. Got some more equipment coming. We're gonna have to do some quick cleanup in here so that way I can fit the truck in. And after that, we'll go ahead and unbox these stuff, give an overview of what we're doing, and we'll jump right into it. All right, so quick little overview. They said this is from Nelson Performance. From what I read on the forums, they were pretty much the go-to for this wiring harness. There's two separate harnesses, the 99 to 02 and then the 03 to 07. 04 was the first year that they swapped to electric fans as a standard. Now, I believe the biggest difference in that is the AC trigger wiring. Both of them come with separate relays because on the 04 to 07 trucks, well, actually 04 and up, it's actually going to have relays inside of the distribution block. So as you see here, we have three separate relays. I believe that's low for each fan and then a high. Could be wrong on that. Got two trigger wires. These are going to go to the PCM. Now this is going to be different on the 99 to 02 versus the 03 to 07. Like I said, the AC trigger wiring is different. I don't think it runs through the PCM on the 99 to 02. Regardless, take what I say with a grain of salt. There's plenty of forums out here that go over this very thoroughly. This is just kind of a quick how-to. But as you can see, all of this stuff is split loomed, taped. It's all got factory OEM connectors. These will connect right up to our 2011 fans. I think they ran the same connectors all the way up to 11 plus. I can confirm that later. I'll let you know right down here. But that is the harness. Let's open up these fans. They even include directions. Like I said, a lot of this information you can find online on the forums. I do a lot of double checking before you order. But on 03 to 07, from what I'm seeing, depending on what radiator you have, and we'll go over that in a second, you can get into this for a little under 300 bucks.
Box? Yeah, only for this look. I want to cut this out and legit hang it on the wall. It says acid.
For assembly?
Yeah. Just cut the white off.
Get it framed.
Yeah. Automotive cooling fan ass.
It's an ass cooler.
Yep.
So here's the meat and the potatoes of this whole ordeal. Now, this is a 2011 2500 fan. What you want to look for is the 9-blade, especially if you're going to be like towing or if you have an HD model or a 3/4 ton truck like mine. I guess these are the fans that put out a lot of air. You can use the other ones, but these are just going to do a lot better for you, and they're about 20 bucks more. Now, being that these are 2011, they actually fit the like the actual mounts actually fit on the 03s and even the older models, with the exception of the 28-inch radiator. And we'll go measure that now just so I can show you what to look for. Now, here we are on the 3/4 ton. What you're going to be looking for is the edge of the radiator core. So right here is the edge of the core. Basically everywhere where they, you can see the metal core and then the plastic tanks off to the side. Now there's a 28-inch and a 34-inch. Now mine, as you can see, is 34-inch to the edge of the core because it is the 3/4 ton. I believe the half tons came with the 28. I'm not sure if they stepped up to the 04 or stepped up to the 34 in the 04 on the half ton trucks. Can't confirm that. I'll try to. I could just take a quick peek at this one, but for time's sake, not gonna. So if your truck does have the 28-inch radiator, especially if you are going to be doing some towing or if you're going to be hot rodding it, it may be worth the upgrade to you to just go ahead and grab the 34-inch radiator. It'll bolt right in. You're going to get some extra cooling capacity. You're not going to cry about having too big of a radiator, especially only bumping up 6 inches. You are going to get some more cooling capacity. Just a little bit more peace of mind. Thankfully, mine already has it, so this is the route I'm going. But like I said, this will actually bolt up in the place of the factory shroud. Step 1, disconnect the battery. I wonder how long that's been riding up there. Alright, so next step is we're going to take off the air intake. Yours may look a little different. This one isn't stock. Don't judge me. It was on it when I bought it. Except they had a wet filter on it for some god-awful reason.
I think I might take mine off and air clean it out next time I wash my...
Next, I got to drain the coolant. I think you all know how to do that, so I'll skip recording that. All right, so you don't have to drain out all the coolant. Just drain out a gallon, gallon and a half, somewhere around there. We just need enough to where we can get this upper radiator hose off. All right, now all of these clips you're gonna wanna save. These are pretty simple. You just pop a screwdriver in and pop them loose. You're gonna wanna save these because they're gonna go onto the new shroud. Do a little wiggle back and forth. We actually don't need to disconnect the radiator hose. We can just group it back over there, get it out of the way. Now we're gonna go ahead and start getting the shroud off. We got two 10mm up top. The new fans will use this hole off to the side. It's already threaded in the core support. All right, so we got those two bolts out up top, and now all we have to do is pop these little clips loose. These are just like the little fender clips. What I find is best used with these, it's a little bit tight, but as you can see, have a little interior panel tool, get underneath there and pop it loose. That one's being a little stubborn, but you can pick up a set of these pretty cheap at just about any auto store, and they're definitely worth it. Now in yours, there's going to be another one right here. Obviously mine's broken. That's the great thing, is my fan shroud already needed replaced. This truck was in a front end collision. If you've watched my other videos, you'd know that. It's before I bought it. But as you can see, we got one here on this side, right there, up by the front, one up by the back. And then this upper shroud just slips right off. I actually misplaced that. The next step is getting this clutch fan assembly off. Now you need a tool that's actually going to fit into these holes on the water pump pulley. I already made one about a year ago when I replaced this water pump. You can also use an air hammer, nip right at the side of that. It is standard thread, so spin it left, and it'll come off that way. Or you can use the tool and then use a wrench and back it off that way. But as you see, the fan spins free of it, so you actually need to get the nut on the clutch loose. Now, like I said, I already made one. You can buy this on my website for $699. Now, my tool doesn't fit the best. It's not the most precise, and that's why it's only $699, but it does come with a no questions asked unlimited 60-second warranty. And actually, it just kind of slipped right in that time, so it's $7.99 now. Now guys, this tool isn't really actually that expensive. When I did that water pump, I was in a hurry. You'll hear that a lot. And I believe the parts store was closed. At least that'll be my excuse for now. The best way to jar this loose is sudden impact. So basically smack it with a hammer. You want to hold this in. I dare you. I dare you. Yep, hold it down. Just like that. And once you get it broke loose, it'll spin right off. If you can get your wrench out of there. So the most important part is be nice to that radiator. You don't have to be nice to the fan. Fan's obviously coming out of here. I can pull my tool out of here now. Ta-da! The tool lives once more. It'll last 3 jobs. Price just went up to $8.99. Got tight on me. Where's the channel locks?
The channel aches.
The first campground I ever went to was Channel Lakes. Place is awesome. Until we took a John boat up the kayak canal. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Lord, come on. Now this one's old and worn out. Most of them actually have enough tension in the clutch. You can just spin the fan, yeah, like that. This one not so much. Spinner all the way. There we go. Kobe, fade away. Now the bottom shroud just lifts out. It's not held in by anything except these basically little grooves on the side where it slides in. Except one side is broken, so it doesn't. And that's actually how our new one is going to slide in. Next, we're going to pop off the PCM cover. Start at this top corner. Pull back towards the cab of the truck. Pull up. And then you'll be able to lift it up. Slips right off. Now, you can go ahead and leave the PCM mounted. Grab your 7mm ratchet on a little, or 7mm socket and a 1/4-inch ratchet. So take off the 7mm on the back of these connectors. Obviously, like I said, step 1 was disconnect the battery. This plastic shield shouldn't be all broken up. Mine is because the PCM mount and the cover were actually broke when I bought the truck because, like I said, front end collision. Don't ask me what I was thinking. Young and dumb, and I got approved, so I bought it. Here we are. Eventually, it'll be pretty good. It ain't eventually yet. There we go. Pull this up a little bit. Get it up here where you can work on it. Obviously, one of mine is already broken. That was actually because of me. I had to repair this harness before when that mount broke. Ground it out on the frame. Had to fix some wires. You're going to pop these loose. It's got tabs here on the end. They say to use pliers. That's actually how I broke it last time, so we'll see. I have all of this in the instructions that are included with it. Side. So what we have to do next is take a pick or very tiny screwdriver, press in here on the white plastic, and pop this cover loose. There we go. Now that we got it loose, you can see all of these terminals are exposed. These come pre-crimped from Nelson Performance. You got 2 wires. Now the easiest way to do this, don't try to fight them with the sheathing. You're going to bend it, kink it. This split loom, if you don't know how to use it, is really easy. It's basically like an onion. You just peel it back. And don't be afraid about having to get it back in here. The trick with this stuff, bend it back. Just bend it and feed it right back in. So give yourself a little bit of working space. Make sure you get the colors right. On the blue side, we are looking for pin 43, or I'm sorry, pin 42. which we've actually located right here next to this red wire. It's that pin right there, the second from the corner. So we're going to go ahead and lubricate this so that way it's easier to slide the pin in. It does have a weather tight seal in there, so we're going to go ahead and put some dielectric grease around the outside just to slip it through there. Don't be too crazy with it. We're going to go ahead and do that now, and we're going to do the same on the other side. And on that one we are looking for pin 33, and that is going to be the one for the AC trigger wire. I'm just going to move it up a little bit. You can just spit on it if you want. I'd grab it right here behind the connector. Try not to let it bend or kink. It's going to be a little firm pressing in there. Like I said, it's going through a weather tight seal. As you can see, it kind of slips back out on you. Just take your time. Don't get in no hurry with it. You really don't want to kink it. You're going to see her poke through and she's going to lock. Give it a little tug back, make sure she's in there. Now before you do anything, double check back on that paper, make sure that you got the right pin in the right place, because right now it's not that bad if you mess it up. And just for video's sake, just for your learning experience, I will show you. Ideally you'd want to use a smaller pin than this, but if you do so happen to put it in the wrong one, say you hit the end connector and realize, oh, that's pin 41, just pop that up and then pull the wire loose from the back. I don't need to because I hit the right pin, but I'll just show you guys that anyways. Goes without saying, you want to be a little careful in here, guys. I actually need to sharpen my little pin tool here. I've dulled it out a little bit. There we go. And as you can see, you screw up, put it in the wrong spot. It's not that big of a deal as long as you double check it and you catch it now. Clicks back in, give everything a tug, make sure it's actually clipped back on there. Brush. Now these can get a little dirty. They shouldn't underneath the plastic gray covers, but make sure I can read that right. So we got 30, 31, 32, 33. So in between our two green wires here. So first things first, let's pop our little cover off. Also helps with pretty much any clip. Some of you may already know this. If you're ever having trouble, releasing a clip, especially with like injector plugs or, something like this where there's a locking tab, push in on it while you're releasing and then pull out. And a lot of times it'll pop free for you. All right, so same thing here. Just a tiny, tiny amount of this dielectric grease. We just want a little tiny baby thin layer here around the outside, just to help it push through that weatherproof gasket. Find our pin 33. Right there between the green wires. Try to move these to the side a little bit so we got a straight shot. Okay, not gonna happen. Push through, lock, give it a tug. And again, double check, make sure that's 33. So the next steps are, like I said, put on the PCM cover, which is actually where we're gonna mount our relays. And then we will be hooking up power and ground, and all of that will be, the powers will be off of this jump box here off the alternator, and then we'll actually ground it off of the bracket that holds the jump box to the alternator. Alright, so inside of the junction box, 17 millimeter. As you can see, someone has been in here before. Not sure what that was all about. We got two ring terminals with clipped wires. They just kind of stuffed inside of the box because I guess they were too lazy to just take that nut off again. I don't know. Maybe they scrapped their 17 millimeter socket. They needed beer money. Alright, so we're back. I just added a little bit of split loom, a little bit of heat shrink, just clean these up a little bit. Now we're gonna go ahead and slide these over. Now these two positives are gonna go on this stud inside of the jump box. So I don't know why the GoPro feels the need to keep cutting off on me, but the grounds have to go behind the bracket, in between the alternator bracket and the little jump box bracket. And the power wire actually goes to the 17mm nut inside of the box, like I was talking about. These are 10mm here. Don't try to get them crazy super tight, because it is going into an aluminum bracket. They're pretty small bolts, so you don't want to strip them out. I went and put mine on the top, just that way it's still easy to reach the power steering reservoir there. Now they do have this system set up to where the relays actually mount on the side of the PCM. Let me get that light out of your way so that you can see. They mount to the front of the PCM cover right here. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and slip this fan in, make sure that the connectors reach, make sure everything's good, and we will move on to the next step. Hopefully you guys can see that all right. Kick in the driver's side first, due to the hard lines for the AC being over there. Let's see if we can make that happen. Oh, she's tight. Maybe. Yeah, tight fit. Let's see if we can't get her in there. Yeah. Almost. Hanging up over here on the hard line. Let's see where we're at over here. Try not to wedge it up against the radiator here. We're getting kind of close over here on this side. Yeah. And the biggest struggle seems to be getting it around these oil cooler lines on the driver's side. Look at that. Now she falls right in. Now, let me re-aim my light here so you can see. You can see the little tab there. It'll slip in. See if I can do this one-handed for you. Maybe. Yep. Popped in on that side. And popped in on that side. So we put our bolts back up top. It's clipped in there. And we go ahead and run our wires over. Now you can already see how much more room there is to work in here. So when you need to change a serpentine belt, a water pump, I mean, it just makes things so much simpler when you don't have that huge shroud, the mechanical fan. You have to pull that fan off to even take off the water pump if you got to do a replacement. So I mean, just little things like that. I mean, it adds an extra 2 or 3 minutes of struggling to just taking the belt off, which is really simple. So I mean, that alone makes it worth it in my opinion. So as you all know, no project is truly complete without at least one parts store run. This is no exception. So you saw the 10mm bolts that came out of the old shroud. They do not fit on this. These bolt holes off to the side here, you can see this is where the old shroud for the mechanical fan mounted. Right over here is where the new shroud, well, the whole fan assembly mounts. And those are the same bolts as your radiator mounts. Those are M8 by 1 1/4. So I ended up having to run to the parts store. 35mm long, ended up being about the same size. Picked up a washer pack, also grabbed some coolant. You can reuse the coolant you drained if it's in good shape, but that pan's had a lot of oil in it, gear oil, lots of different stuff, so I didn't want to reuse it. Here we go. Got the harness in. I did notice there is a tab down here on the front of the fan shroud. where a clip is supposed to go to hold those oil cooler lines, and I would presume also hold the factory harness. So if you go and pull a unit out of a junkyard, you'll probably have that. I didn't. I just ordered mine off Rock Auto. Unfortunately, TYC was the only brand that they actually offered in the 9-blade configuration, at least for the 2011. I should have shopped around a little bit more because it doesn't appear to be the nicest unit. Doesn't really have to be, but I'd prefer that it lasts a while. So we'll see how this holds up. Hopefully I don't have any longevity issues with it. But don't be afraid to go to a pick and pull yard and just grab a set. Honestly, they don't fail often, and your chances of getting a good one are probably pretty decent, and you're going to get one at a pretty decent price as well. Went ahead and mounted the relays there. I'm not a huge fan of that, but for the sake of simplicity, I kind of see why they did it. And honestly, it is a super easy install that way, though I would have liked to maybe seen a longer harness and maybe a better relocation of those relays, just because, you know, kind of, I mean, you can disconnect them. They do have little tabs, quick disconnects down there at the bottom, so you can pop the harness off if you need to get that cover off, but it's still just one extra step. Aside from that, pretty easy kit to install. Like I said, I got this harness from Nelson Performance. Got the fans off Rock Auto. Altogether, I'm in this little upgrade for less than 300 bucks, maybe a little more if you have to upgrade to the 34-inch Radiator. I don't believe they have any electric fans, any OE electric fans that fit on the 28. But if you look on the forums, there's a lot of good write-ups on shopping around and what fans fit what radiator. There are some options for you with the 28-inch, but I think it's worthwhile to swap out to the 34 if you have the means to do so. I skipped the boring stuff. Y'all know how to put an intake tube on. Y'all know how to fill coolant, I hope. So just to give you an idea of how much more room there is, this elbow is actually clearance for the original fan shroud because it's made for a mechanical fan. And I mean, like, there's so much more room. I mean, so much more room. Now, down here, I just threw a zip tie on since I have the clip that holds the oil cooler lines there. But obviously mine's for mechanical fans, so it doesn't have the spot there for a wiring harness. So I'm going to end up going to take apart my local scrap yard here soon. There's a bunch of other stuff this truck needs from there anyways, bunch of little stuff. But anyways, going to go inside, grab the laptop, hook up the HB tuners, show you guys how to do that if you have it. If not, I'll show you kind of reasons why you should have it. So I was going to show you guys how to get into HB tuners and how to set up these fans, but I'm really not the guy for that. And as evidence for that, you will see I messed up. I messed up big time. So there's communication errors. Long story short, I had a trailer brake controller hooked up and it was messing with the flash, which would have been fine. I could have disconnected it and reflashed. Instead, I started panicking and doing everything that I shouldn't, just like disconnecting the battery. Computer lost power, wouldn't turn back on. I was out of a PCM, so I ended up going and getting another one from a junkyard. Had to spend more credits on it, flash it over. Thankfully, we're back up and running now. I will be doing a video on the HB tuners here later. I will be doing my own tune on this truck. Hopefully I don't kill any more computers. I'm really hoping that's the last one. If you are good with it, just know that the Nelson harness actually does come with all of the temperatures for the enable, the disable on both stages of the fans. The only thing that they didn't send was how to set it for the AC trigger, but they don't really know what software you're going to be using to tune with. So I'm going to go ahead and look on HB tuners now, probably pull up like an 05 tune file and check that out. But don't let that scare you from jumping into it. Just really do your research, and there's a huge community of guys out there with just a plethora of knowledge. That's actually how I figured out how to make my own bench harness for peace of mind. is actually, you know, guys that do this every day, and these guys are more than willing to help you out. So just ask instead of just starting to do what you think you need to do, or just trying to do everything you can, because that's how you really screw stuff up, and that's exactly what happened to me. You can see we're running and driving. Don't mind the missing shroud. Tow haul wire broke. I got tired of messing with it when I was yanking that trailer around. But we're staying right there between 190 and 200, so the settings were good. Go ahead and get into it a little bit here for you. Now that's with 342s, so if it sounds like it's lugging a little bit, it's because it is. I haven't tuned this truck yet. Like I said, I'll have a video on that later. But it actually stays a little bit cooler. I've noticed the electric fans are definitely more efficient, especially when it's just sitting there idling. You barely hear the fans kick on, really, if you got any kind of exhaust on your truck. But so far, I'm like super impressed with these electric fans. When they do kick on, I mean, they got some power. They recommend the 9-blade fans for a reason, for sure. Oh yeah, she pin you in the seat. Oh yeah, she feels good. But yeah, as you can see, that temp drop down. I mean, it gets that coolant down. It only kicks on for a minute or two at a time, but when it does, it gets that coolant cold quick. Definitely worthwhile upgrade in my opinion. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to try to get back to posting videos more regularly. Here lately, it's just been a lot of waiting and stuff, trying to get some bigger stuff taken care of. Instead of getting parts right now, we're trying to stock up on tools. As you know, got the new air compressor, we got to get that set up. Got powder coating stuff coming. TIG welder, got to get argon, welding cart. Just a bunch of stuff that's on its way that we're going to have to get set up before I can really throw any more money at this project. And after that stuff comes in, this one's actually going to be on the back burner. We're going to throw some wheels and tires on it, might put a lowering kit on it, and then after that, it's going to be all hands on deck on the 4x4 outside, and that is going to be the good project, and I cannot wait for it. So thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Hopefully some of you found this video helpful. I tried to be as in-depth as I could. Just double check and do all your research, get some other opinions. As always, I don't know everything and I'm not a complete guide to this. Just hopefully I give you some more insight as to what all's involved, what you need to know, and kind of try to steer you right. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.